Welcome back to the channel, and thank you for tuning in again. If you're new here, make sure to follow so you don't miss the daily updates. Today's episode is a big one. We're going to break down the top 10 coins and where they stand right now, then dive into the major headlines shaping the crypto world, and finally wrap up with some forward-looking analysis on what's coming next week. So, sit tight, because this is going to be a packed ride through the market. Let's start with Bitcoin. Right now, Bitcoin is trading at around $116,739, which is down about 2% on the week. This pullback is not unexpected. After a massive run to new highs last week, where Bitcoin briefly touched $124,500, traders are taking profits. The key thing to understand is that this kind of retracement is normal in bull markets. Healthy consolidation helps to shake out weak hands and build a stronger base. Analysts are watching closely to see if Bitcoin can hold above $115,000. If it does, the case for another leg higher remains strong. Institutional adoption and ongoing inflows from Bitcoin ETFs in the United States continue to provide long-term support. Now, Ethereum. Ethereum is currently sitting at $4,368. It's down a few percent as well, following Bitcoin's lead, but it still looks strong. The market is anticipating the launch of Remedix, a fiat settlement token that is set to roll out in mid-September. Many analysts believe this could be a game-changer for Ethereum's ecosystem. With this upgrade, Ethereum might see new adoption in payment settlements, potentially driving the price toward the next major resistance near $4,878, and in the longer term, perhaps even $8,000 if momentum continues. Right now, Ethereum is consolidating, but all eyes are on what this new token launch will do for adoption. XRP is trading at $3.05. It's been fighting to hold that level after struggling to stay above $3.10 earlier in the week. The psychological barrier here is clear. $3 is the battleground. Traders know that if XRP loses $3, it could slip lower, but if it holds and manages to break above $3.25, that opens the door to a much larger run. Sentiment around XRP is still heavily tied to legal clarity and developments in the Ripple ecosystem. With increasing speculation about institutional partnerships and possible ETF approval in the future, XRP remains one of the most closely watched altcoins in the space. Moving on to Binance Coin. Binance Coin is currently around $808. It has cooled slightly from highs, but demand remains strong. A big part of this is due to improving regulatory clarity. In several major jurisdictions, including Europe and parts of Asia, regulators are starting to provide clearer frameworks for exchanges. Binance, once seen as a company constantly fighting regulators, is now actively working with them, and this has restored a lot of market confidence. As long as Binance continues to build trust and expand its ecosystem of products, the outlook for BNB remains bullish. Now, Solana. Solana is sitting around $175, and unlike many other top coins, it's actually up on the week. That's a sign of strength. Solana has been through a rough patch in the past year with outages and ecosystem FUD, but developers and investors are standing firm. Analysts are watching closely to see if Solana can break the $210 level, which could be the trigger for a much larger move. With strong DeFi and NFT activity, Solana is proving it has staying power. Dogecoin is steady at 22 cents. It might sound quiet, but behind the scenes, whale accumulation is continuing. August has been a month where larger holders have steadily increased their positions. This suggests confidence in Dogecoin's long-term story, especially as Elon Musk and other influencers continue to keep it in the spotlight. Dogecoin may not have the most advanced technology, but it has one of the strongest communities in crypto, and that counts for a lot. Cardano is back in focus, trading at 78 cents. After weeks of being relatively quiet, Cardano is showing signs of life again. Developers are continuing to roll out upgrades, and there's speculation about new partnerships in Africa and other developing markets. Cardano often trades in bursts of excitement, and right now it's building momentum again. The 75-cent level is an important support zone, and if it continues to hold, a push toward $1 could be on the horizon. Tron, often overlooked, is holding steady at 35 cents. It doesn't always grab the headlines, but Tron has quietly built one of the strongest stablecoin networks in the space. Transaction volumes remain high, and its DeFi activity keeps it relevant. It might not be flashy, but it's consistent, and sometimes consistency wins. Finally, we can't ignore the role of stablecoins like Tether and USDC. They continue to anchor the market's liquidity, providing traders with the ability to move in and out of positions quickly. Their stability underpins the entire crypto ecosystem, and every week their importance grows. So, that's our top 10 coin breakdown. We've got Bitcoin consolidating, Ethereum preparing for a big upgrade, XRP battling at the $3 mark, and Solana showing surprising strength. The rest of the majors are holding steady, with whales and developers shaping the story in the background. Now that we've covered the top 10 coins and set the stage with where the market stands, let's shift gears into the bigger stories of the week, because price action only tells part of the picture. What really drives the market is the narrative, the headlines, the whispers from Wall Street, and the decisions being made in boardrooms and government halls. One of the biggest stories this week is the continued flood of institutional money into Bitcoin ETFs. BlackRock's fund has once again broken its own record for daily inflows, adding over $1 billion in a single day. That brings total assets under management for the leading Bitcoin ETFs to levels nobody thought we would see this quickly. Remember, when these products were first approved, analysts were cautious, saying it could take years for significant money to flow in. But here we are, barely months later, and institutions are moving in fast. This changes the game completely. It gives Bitcoin a seat at the table in traditional finance, in a way that simply didn't exist before. At the same time, we're seeing more governments trying to regulate crypto in a meaningful way. In the United States, a new round of hearings is scheduled next week to discuss stablecoin legislation. The goal is to provide clarity on how issuers like Circle and Tether operate, especially around reserves and transparency. This is critical because stablecoins are the lifeblood of the crypto economy. If regulators get this right, it could unlock even more institutional adoption. But if they move too heavy-handedly, it could spook markets. Traders are watching carefully. Ethereum is also at the center of attention. The news around the Remedix token is only part of the story. What's really significant is the broader narrative of Ethereum being positioned as the settlement layer for global payments. For years, critics have said that Ethereum's gas fees make it impractical for daily use. But with scaling solutions like Layer 2s and the steady march toward more efficient upgrades, Ethereum is proving the doubters wrong. If Ethereum becomes the backbone for payments, it's not just a tech story, it's a financial revolution. Meanwhile, XRP continues to ride its own wave of speculation. The ongoing optimism around Ripple's expansion into Asia and new speculation about institutional partnerships in Japan and Singapore has kept XRP holders confident despite the recent dip. There are even renewed discussions about whether Ripple could one day push for a spot ETF of its own, though that remains speculation at this stage. Still, the fact that people are even talking about it shows just how much momentum XRP has regained since the legal clarity earlier this year. Another key storyline this week is Solana's comeback narrative. For months, critics wrote Solana off as the chain that couldn't keep the lights on. Outages and technical hiccups damaged its reputation. But fast forward to today, and Solana is outperforming much of the market. Developers have doubled down, building faster, stronger, and more scalable applications. DeFi volumes on Solana are rising, and NFT activity has rebounded. There's even talk that Solana could position itself as the chain of choice for high-frequency trading firms, given its speed. If that narrative sticks, Solana could carve out a role in institutional adoption that nobody expected a year ago. Dogecoin too is quietly becoming part of the mainstream. This week saw whispers that X, formerly Twitter, is preparing to expand its payments infrastructure. And while nothing has been confirmed, speculation is swirling that Dogecoin could play a role in that ecosystem. For years, Dogecoin has been seen as a meme, but the reality is that when Elon Musk has control of a platform like X, the lines between meme and money get blurry. And in crypto, perception can be just as powerful as technology. And then there's the meme coin phenomenon as a whole. This week, we've seen massive swings in coins like Floki, with double-digit moves happening in a single day. Some call it reckless speculation. Others call it the purest form of crypto culture. Either way, meme coins are not going away. They may never be the foundation of finance, but they will always drive attention, liquidity, and sometimes even innovation as communities rally around them. On the regulatory front, Asia continues to move faster than the West. Hong Kong just announced a new set of guidelines for crypto exchanges that aim to make it easier for retail investors to participate, while still maintaining oversight. Singapore is expanding its licensing regime, and even Japan is softening its stance. Compare that with the US, where the SEC continues to fight its battles one lawsuit at a time, and you start to see why Asia is becoming the hotbed of innovation and growth. So, where does this leave us heading into the next week? We've got institutional inflows driving Bitcoin's long-term case, Ethereum lining up a potentially massive payments role, XRP sitting at a key level, Solana rewriting its narrative, and meme coins keeping the market spicy. That's a lot of moving pieces, and it sets us up for a fascinating close to August. As we wrap up today's roundup, the message is clear. The crypto market is moving fast, but the bigger picture is what matters. Bitcoin continues to lead with institutional money flowing in through ETFs, showing that mainstream adoption is no longer a question of if, but when. Ethereum is still carving out its future as the backbone for smart contracts and decentralized finance, while coins like XRP, Solana, and Cardano are proving that competition in payments, speed, and scalability is alive and well. This week reminded us that price swings are inevitable, but what really counts is the underlying growth in partnerships, regulation, and technology. Whether it's Ripple's expanding global reach, Ethereum's upgrades, or Solana's resilience, the ecosystem is proving it can adapt and thrive. The week ahead will bring fresh catalysts, regulatory discussions, ETF flows, and continued developments across the top projects. As always, it's not just about watching prices, but about watching the stories that shape those prices. Thanks again for tuning in and supporting the show. If you found today's breakdown valuable, make sure to hit follow so you don't miss the next episode. Crypto doesn't sleep, and neither do we when it comes to keeping you up to date. Stay sharp, stay ready, and as always, like and follow, and we will see you at the top.